New augment just dropped after maintenance, and it's the Larze Augment. It's 6.5 in terms of potency. The def version only has a 1% floor potency, which is I don't know why. But with this, definitely there is a change of the meta and change in the builds. So we're gonna talk about the builds that you can do right now in the game, and hopefully this will help you in deciding whatever you want to do for your own character or for your own build. All right. So before we go for the builds, I just wanna note that all of the builds that we're going to use here will be using the EX maintain balance, EX maintain shortage, HP Starling, and EX down PB boost combo, because these three right here are pretty much the best EX right now that we have in game. So we're going for that. Of course, we're gonna follow the meta. And in terms of weapons, of course, we'll be using the best one right now, the Arcocelius series. Same goes for the units, the upgraded version of that Tricelio unit. You know, that one. We're going for that definitely. So that's why all of the numbers that you will see here might be really high, because if you use a previous previous unit, you might ask, why is my potency different from your video? Just remind of that. We're using the best equipment right now in the game. All right. So let's go with the first build. First build, we're gonna call it the all-rounder build. It's all-rounder because you can use this with any class that you want. If you have this as well, definitely you can use this. But let's go with the EX first. So the EX, as I mentioned, we're going for 3 EX augments. For Anadi, definitely, it's gonna be the def version. For Larze, it's gonna be the def version as well. It's all up to you if you wanna go for dual stat or the all stat. Depends on your budget. For Hal Finale, definitely we'll going for Lux or Magis Hal Finale. And then we're going for Grand Dread Keeper 2. This one is a must for every single build right now for high floor potency. Next, for units, we're going for same thing, Larze and Anadi. Def, I highly suggest go for Parfait. That will be the all stat, definitely. But if you're low on the budget, you can still go with dual stat. That's totally fine. For Hal Finale, go for Lux or Magis. For Gladiusol, you can go with Gran or Magis. For Gigas Maste, go for Glan Gigas Maste, definitely. For the Trial, go for Giga Trial. And last but not least, go for Grand Dread Keeper 2. Because again, Grand Dread Keeper offers a lot of good stat, which is also floor potency. So, in terms of in-game display potency, this is the stat that you will see on your character stats. And then in-game potency means that this is once you activated all of your EX augments. Okay? So in-game potency for all-rounder will be 348, which is really good in my opinion. Once you have all of your EX activated, it will become 352. In terms of floor potency, you have 81% floor potency. For Fixas, I highly suggest either you go Wix, Attack, or Blaster. Really depends on your class. I guess for Ranger, definitely go for Wix because you have your light rounds. You can always put Weak Spot. If you're a Force, it's either you go Wix or Blaster, because by matching the elemental weakness, I think Wix also work with that, because I know that really works. Okay, so this is, like I said, an all-rounder build. Pretty much one of the best builds that you can do right now in game. Decent amount of floor potency, decent amount of potency as well. You can easily blast the content. You can easily do, I think, ultra high difficulty content with this one. Let's go for the second build. The second build I have over here is the high P floor build. So the high P floor build, this build is for players who really wanna do consistent damage. Okay, absolutely good consistent damage. So let's go with the augments first. The augments will be 3 EX augments, Anadi Def, of course, Larze Def as well. For Hal Finale, you can go Lux or Magis. and Grand Dread Keeper. Again, this is super important for your P floor. For units, we'll go with Larze and Anadi Def. Make sure to go Parfait version because you want to go for all stats. For Hal Finale, you can go for Lux or Magis. For Gladiosol, you can go with Gran or Magis as well. For Gigas Maste, I definitely go for Glan Gigas Maste. This what is different from the other build a while ago. We have Giga Trial, but this time we'll be removing Giga Trial and we'll be using High Styria Domina because High Styria Domina give us a lot of floor potency. And last but not least, we're going for Grand Dread Keeper. The purpose of this build again is for players who loves really high floor potency. So let's talk about the in-game display potency. It will be 336%. For in-game potency, it will be 340%. And your floor potency will be the highest of them all right now. It will be around 88% floor potency.
That's quite big. Impressive.
So which is absolutely really nice. For Fixas, you can go Wix, Attack, or Blastor, which is pretty much I highly recommend to go for. So again, this build is for players who wants real consistent damage. Also, this build is really good for Dark False Dalion because Dark False Dalion, there is a phase there that you will have to do cannons, and cannons goes pretty much for your weapon damage and your floor potency. So if you want super easy time with Dark Falls Dalion R2, definitely this build is a must for you. So let's go for the next one. The next one is I will call it Slayer build that I use. Okay, so I use this Slayer build. I'll explain why I use this pretty much, but we're gonna have like 2 Slayer builds, okay? So let's go with the Augments first. Of course, we're gonna have 3 EX Augments, Larze and Anadi Def. For Hal Finale, go for Lux and Magis. And for Gladiosol, you'll have Gran or Magis Gladiosol. For units, you'll definitely have Larze and Anadi Def. For Hal Finale, you can go for Lux or Magis. For Gladiosol, you can go for Gran or Magis Gladiosol. For Gigas Maste, you can go with Glan Gigas Maste. For Trial, definitely go for Giga Trial. And last but not least, you can go with Grand Dread Keeper 2. Let's go with the in-game display potency. It will be 355%. In-game potency, or once all of the EX augments are activated, will become 359%. And P floor by 76%. For Fixas, I highly suggest go with Termina since you are a Slayer. The reason why I use this build is because Slayer is not 100% crit rate. So there are times that you are not gonna deal non-crit damage, so you still have to roll on that P floor. So if your floor potency is super low and you hit the minimum damage, you're gonna hit like a wet noodle. So that's why I prefer using this, having a good amount of floor potency. But then again, once you hit a crit damage, there is a little bit of damage loss because your in-game display potency or your in-game potency is not that quite high compared to the other one that we're gonna talk about. So the next build is gonna be, we're gonna call it the full potency build. Okay, so full potency build, from the name itself, it's gonna focus on potency alone. Let's talk about the augments first. So 3EX augments, Anadi and Larze, any that you can use, you can go with dual stat. Okay, highly suggest going dual stat for your weapon. And again, any of the Anadi, any of the Larze combination that you want to use, depends on your budget as well. For Hal Finale, you can go with Lux or Magis. In terms of Gladiosol, you can go with Gran or Magis Gladiosol. For units, same thing. You can go with any Larze or any Anadi, that is your choice. You can also go dual stat. That's if you want to go dual stat, then that's totally fine. We're also gonna explain why I highly suggest going dual stat with this. For Halfinale, same thing. You can go with Lux or Magis. For Gladiosol, you can go with Gran or Magis. For Gigasmaste, definitely go for Glan Gigasmaste. And for Trial, definitely go for Giga Trial. Last but not least, we're going for doable DP. This is the reason why I've been suggesting in terms of Larze and Anadi, you can go dual stat because your final augment will be doable. And doable can only raise 2 types of potency. And pretty much is also a downside for this because since you can only focus 2 types of potency, in terms of class, you are very limited of what you can play. But here is the in-game display potency. It's gonna be 365, which is really, really high. In terms of in-game potency, once all of your EX augment are activated, it will be 369, but your P floor is 59%, which is really, really low.
Ooh, that's kind of small. Yikes.
Okay, for Fixa, if you are a non-Slayer main, definitely go for Fatale. Again, this is for non-Slayer main. If you are a Slayer main, definitely go for Termina. If you're going to use this build, definitely there is a downside. I also consider this build as a off-meta build. Okay? One of the downside is, again, as I mentioned, was that you're using doable DP. So in terms of class, you are very limited because doable can only raise 2 specific types of potency. Another thing, if you are a non-Slayer main, you pretty much have to use Slayer sub to increase your crit rate. But if you think that you can sacrifice a little of your crit rate by not using Slayer sub, that's totally fine for you. But again, if you're not using Slayer sub, your crit rate will be a little lower. If you're going to use this for Slayer, please use Termina. Don't go Fatale because based on my experience as playing as a Slayer, the crit chance of 40% and 60% are almost similar. So what you want to do is that you want to raise your crit damage more, which is a much beneficial for you. Alright, again, this build is a full potency build. If you're going for this is pretty much a high roller build and you're like feeling always doing the gamba. Another downside of this in terms of DPS check, if you land a non-crit, okay, if you land non-crit damage and you land on the minimum damage, your damage is just gonna be absolutely really quite low. But if you land a crit, if you land a crit damage, it's gonna be really, really high because your potency is 365, which is absolutely really quite big in my opinion. All right, next up, let's go for a budget build because, you know, sometimes in life, we want to go for fashion, like, right? Fashion is the true end game of NGS. So I will show you guys a very nice build that is absolute budget. But do take note, you still need to buy the Larze and Anadi. So let's go with the augments first. Of course, we're gonna have 3 EX augments. Larze and Anadi. As you can see, it's ward over here, but you can use any, by the way, any that will fit on your budget because from what I know right now, ward is like the cheapest, but if you can find something even cheaper than ward, then definitely go for it. Also go for dual stat because dual stat is much cheaper compared for all stats. For Lux, for the Halfinale, we're going for Lux Halfinale LC. Yes, this is where things are gonna get much cheaper because all you have to do is use LC. You don't need to buy anything. All you have to do is do Luciel, find those capsules. Also, you can exchange this, which is absolutely really nice. So it will be much easier for you to, you know, much easier for your budget and you can just easily make this. So for units, same thing. We're gonna still use our Larze and Anadi. Again, buy the cheapest one that you can find in the market and then go for Lux Halfinale LC, Grand Gladiosol LC, Glan Giga Smash the LC, Giga Trial LC, and last but not least, I guess this is the only thing that you have to farm or you probably need to buy in the market, but it's super cheap. I think it's around 2k each anyway, the Doable DP. Okay, so since we're using DP over here, do take note that you can only raise 2 types of stats. So please be aware of this. You're gonna be limited in terms of class playstyle, but you don't have to worry because again, this is just for budget. This is for casual players. But in terms of potency, you'll have 335% potency, which is really nice. Once all of your EX augments are activated, you're gonna be around 339. But unfortunately, your P floor is gonna be 59%, which is kinda very low. In terms of fixa, I highly suggest go for Fatale. Fatale will be a must for this build because you have very low floor potency, and you're not gonna have a hard time in terms of UQ. Definitely, you're gonna deal some decent amount of damage here and there. In terms of ultra high difficulty quest, I know there will be an ultra high difficulty quest for Dark Falls Fael. Probably you might have a hard time with that one, but if you have friends that has like very good builds, let's say a Banda, those kind of friends that can carry you around, you're not gonna be a big luggage because you're still gonna deal decent amount of damage and they can help you pretty much if you're using this. So last but not least, I know there are players out there who really don't wanna spend money. They don't wanna spend their mesera because fashion is the absolute thing that they just wanna go for. But no, you don't have to worry. I have that over here. We'll show you. But as you can see from the name, I don't recommend it. Absolutely not. I don't recommend this build. So let's go with the augments first. Of course, you're gonna have your 3EX augments, Lux Hal Finale LC, Grand Gladiosol LC, Giga Smash the LC, Doable DP. For units, it's gonna be the same thing. Lux Hal Finale LC, Grand Gladiosol LC, Giga Smash the LC, Giga Trial LC, Hystera Domina LC, Grand Dreadkeeper LC, and Doable DP. So once you have all of this, in terms of your in-game display potency, it's gonna be 246. Once all of your EX are activated, it will be 249, which is very low in my opinion right now. And your P floor will be 68%. If you're going to use Fixa, definitely you go for Fatale for this one. Again, I don't recommend this build. It's because level 100 enemies has 20% more HP. So they're gonna be beefier, they're gonna be tankier. So please don't use this one. I highly suggest go for the other budget build. You're gonna have a hard time in the UQ. In terms of whatever content, it's just gonna be super hard for you versus level 100 enemies. So before we end this video, I just want to add some additional notes. In terms of EX augments, please use the one that is suitable for your playstyle. Because right now, it's EX maintain and EX shortage HP is the current meta of the build, but this build requires you to play at 50% HP. Not everyone can play that specific type of playstyle, and you'll find yourself kissing the floor all the time if you use this, okay? And if you're kissing the floor, definitely you're not doing damage. So again, please pair your EX augment on your specific playstyle, okay? Also, again, in terms of the builds that I have shown here, these are just guides to guide you. If you want to change something, feel free to do so. It's just a guide, okay? It's not a holy Bible. And before we end this video, I just want to do a simple explanation about floor potency. So, give an example. Let's say 10,000 is your maximum damage over here, and you have 81% P floor. So your minimum damage will be around 8,100. Okay, so it's very, very close. But if your P floor is around 59%, your minimum damage will be around 5,900. So it's really quite far, in my opinion. Okay, so if you're going for this, your minimum, if you're going for 59% floor potency, please be aware that if you land, your minimum damage is just gonna be absolutely really, really quite low. All right, I hope this video helps, and I also want to thank all of the people who helped me to create this video. My friend Tulips is a speedrunner. I highly suggest to check out his channel. I'll leave the links on the description. Also, another one who is an official NGS content creator, a friend of mine as well, who is Kat did Vidi. So I highly suggest check out her YouTube and check her on Twitch as well. And last but not least, of course, Cake. Without Cake, I won't be able to create this video. Cake check a lot of my data, and also with the calculator pretty much help me on to create this kind of video for you guys as well. If you have some questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. I also stream at least 4 times a week on Twitch. Make sure to visit my Twitch. If you have some questions, if you want to ask me on stream, I highly suggest you can do that instead of the YouTube. But with that said, I'll hope you see you guys on my next video, and GG everyone.